Hello, everyone. If you don't know me, why don't you know me? I am the one they call the Enlightened One, and this is Wrestling with the Paranormal. And today we're talking about the Hexam.
Wow.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Wrestling with the Paranormal. I am one of your hosts. I am the Gingered Up Paranormal. Son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
All right. I'm also here with you. Very excited host. What? I'm not blue. I'm not purple. I'm not even green.
Not green.
I'm Craig the Gray.
Craig.
Read it right there. You can see my
He's
name.
not an alien, damn it.
Well, I mean, that's to be determined. We don't know about that yet. But
Yeah.
as far as we know.
As far as we know.
All right. I'm excited for the show. Did
Today-
you see the Enlightened One? Did you see the Enlightened One? He had a hammer. He had a hammer. That's like a new gimmick.
I think he's had the hammer before, hasn't he?
Well, I haven't seen it in a while, so to me, it's like a new gimmick.
It is. He was smashing his head. He was doing all sorts of stuff. He's such a wonderful what do you call mascot?
Yeah, mascot.
Check this out. I got a little tiny belt.
Is that for your cat?
How did you know? He won the Fruit Cat Championship the other day, and you know, he was in the Fruit Cat Battle Royal, and he got this. And
heavyweight.
Yeah, he'll be defending it after the show.
Nice.
I can't wait.
All right.
But today on the show, we are talking the mysterious, the treacherous, the scary Hexam heads.
Hexam heads. Yeah.
And as always,
lots of crazy stuff going on in this story.
We
got George Penning here with us.
We got George Penning with us.
He's like the third host, kind of, in a way. He's like our remote host.
Yeah, he's the remote host of the show. He'll be along a little later to tell a bit of a story.
Looking forward to it.
So what were you drinking there, Craig DeGray?
Today's episode is brought to you by a hot glass.
Shut the hell up!
Well, if you didn't want to know, why'd you ask?
No, that's what it's brought to you by a hot glass of Shut the Hell Up.
Shut the fuck up, yeah.
I wasn't telling you to shut the hell up. I was saying what was in the glass. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I hear you. It's the taste. Shut the fuck up. Are we only allowed to say the F word so many times?
We try not to. And sometimes we're from F in wrestling, so it slips out.
Okay, but it's not like, oh, you only can say it once on the podcast.
Yeah, we try not to say it, but so what do you say we get right into the retro video game of the week?
You mean the RVGOTW? I'm down with that. Let's do it.
What'd you call it?
I call it the RTVOTW. It just rolls off the tongue.
Okay, then we'll show the clip. Since that's what Craig wants to call it, I'll never remember it. Here we go.
rise from your grave. Power up. Power up. Welcome to your doom.
Welcome
To your doom.
That game was hot. Like, it seemed like it was easy there.
Okay.
But I owned that game for the Sega Genesis, and I never got past the second level.
Wow.
And it's not one of those things where you could just keep continuing. It's you had
Game
so
over.
many lives, and if you didn't have special video game skills, you'll never do it.
Okay,
and
when
right
that
now-
game came out, was it really amazing that your character changed while you played? Was that like mind blowing?
that was the big thing. He was this creature, and you could be different. Like, you could be a cheetah, you could be a wolf.
There's different creatures.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just that. You
Wow.
don't remember that game?
I never played that game.
It was also in the arcade, so
Wow. Okay.
you missed it.
I missed it. That's when I did. If you hadn't played it from the beginning with the title screen, I would not have known what it was called.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would have guessed that it was called Shirt Rip Off Man.
Welcome to your doom. Now we're gonna bring in Le Desapels or Penning.
Okay, let's do the triple screen thing. Triple screen.
Triple screen
Whoa!
action.
Triple screen.
Triple screen action. George, how you doing today?
I'm doing very good. Hopefully my fresh cut doesn't scare you. My baby face look, if you will.
I didn't know you had it before this.
I noticed right away because he used to have facial hair.
Well, you are just
Yeah.
more observant than me, Craig the Gray. If that's your real name.
It's so funny to see how people react every time I shave. I've had past friends go, the first time I got such a facial hair everywhere, I shaved. The next day they're like, no, who is this?
Look at me and Craig. We got that rugged good look thing going with our
I like to trim. I like to keep it trim, but yeah.
Well, if I never had to shave ever again, I'd be happy.
If you never had to shave and you stayed just stubble, or if you were clean shaven.
If it stayed like this forever, I'd be cool. I never had to do anything.
You
Like, are we talking facial hair here or like full body hair?
I don't know. Anyways, George, you have a story for us?
He was that look on his face was him trying to think about which body hair he likes on his body. He's like, what body hair do I like? So that's what that face was.
What's this face?
That face is maybe my butt hair.
So, Le Disciple, what do you got for us?
Okay, so So about, was it like 2, 3 years ago, give or take? My friends and I, we went to this haunted theme park, which was half like amusement parky and then the other half like a haunted forest. And so we were going, and we had a couple friends in the group who were worried about getting girls. And so we went on a ride and we got a ride. One of my friends starts going, dude, who was holding on to my leg that whole ride? And we had a friend in the group who was like scared of those things or just heights and stuff. And so we went into a haunted theme park area that they had. And so we got done and everyone else was going, dude, who was grabbing my ass? My ass was being grabbed. And we're like, so someone was like, dude, it's not the girls who were behind us, was it? He's like, no, that was our friends, dude. They're guys. And so we kept going and going. And then until we found out one of our friends, so he goes to grab for his ass. And someone turns behind. He's like, dude, is that you grabbing my ass? Or is this place legit haunted? He's like, dude, tell me. I have to know. And so one of our friends, he decides to get the rosary that's conveniently around his neck off.
Conveniently.
And start doing some spiritual connection and all this other magic. And when it came down to it, we couldn't figure it out. And then it was closing and we were leaving until the next day. We woke up, we got up, we went to school, and we're like, so, was your guys' ass being grabbed while you were sleeping last night?
Oh, wow.
And so we went home thinking we were all haunted. Or maybe it was just a few of us.
So everyone was saying their ass was being grabbed?
Yeah.
So, okay, so I don't think there's a haunting going on here. I think we have someone in your group. I don't want to point any fingers, but there's an ass grabber in the group.
There could be an ass grabber in the group.
I don't know. You probably know more than me, the disciple, who it is, but I think there's an ass grabber in the group.
I mean,
and they're using the haunting as an excuse. Wow. That's a theory. That's a theory. I mean, you don't know that for sure. But I
don't know that for sure. But we like to get to the bottom of things here on the Rest of the Paranormal.
Oh, the bottom. I see what you did there. The bottom of things. Wow.
Yeah, I that's my theory. What's your theory, Craig?
Well, I mean, if a human could be labeled as an ass grabber, so you're claiming that one of his friends is an ass grabber. Now that means, what if there was a human who was an ass grabber, but then they died? That means as a ghost, they might be an ass grabbing ghost. So see what I did there? See?
He's not only... Yeah,
I'm using your own logic. I'm using your logic.
While he's dead, right?
You could be haunting a theme park and grabbing asses. I think that's not out of the realm of what ghosts may or may not do. Okay.
What's your theory on it, Disciple?
Well, I'd like to think maybe Dallas was spiritually a part of our group back then, but I'd love to think more realistically that we just had a dude in the group who...
we lost him.
Just wanted to go.
He's still here. So you just think, oh, dude, you're going along with my theory. There's an ass grabber in the group.
Yeah, but I won't outrule Craig's theory too.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to get on with our main story here. Thanks for being on. I know we actually, this is a really enjoyable story. What we really want to see what you have for us next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
This is the effing wrestling logo. That
Yeah.
that.
We don't want to scare too many people
Hang
off
loose,
now.
man. We're up in wrestling.
Come on, man. Give me the Samoa Joe.
All right, we'll see you later,
Okay.
George.
I see ya.
We'll see you in the comments.
Yes.
An ass grabber.
Damn. That's spooky. That is spooky. And
Um,
it follows you home.
Yes.
That's
Steals your
scary.
food out of your fridge and grabs your ass.
Could you imagine waking up in your bedroom at night and just being like, who just grabbed my ass?
Especially if no one's there, right?
Yeah, it's spooky.
Okay, so let's get into our main topic, and that is the Hexam heads.
Whoa.
So, we have what the hell is her name? Bernice. Sorry, I can't read my own
Bernice,
damn
yeah.
writing. So, Bernice was coming home from school one day, and her parents are away. They're still at work. And so Bernice is used to spending a couple hours by herself at home, and she'd spend time with her cat. So first thing she does when she comes in, her cat usually is there to greet her at the door, and it's just this nice bond they have. But this time, the cat was not there waiting for her at the door. And the weird thing is that's the first time ever that this happened. And so she's looking around for her cat, and all of a sudden she hears this little meow, and she goes into the living room, and she sees her cat. So she's so happy to see her cat. She's like, "Oh well, didn't come see me right away, but that's okay." So she picks it up, and it scratches her and hisses.
Whoa.
And this cat has never done this before, and so she's really kind of taken back by this, and the cat's looking like it's kind of freaked out. And all of a sudden, she's concerned about a cat, but all of a sudden she hears this noise coming from the upstairs. And she calls out, maybe thinking her parents are home and she didn't know. And she doesn't get any response from her parents because no one's there. And so she's thinking, maybe I just maybe I'm hearing things. But then she hears it again, a ka-thump. It's like, yeah, like a sneeze ka-thump. Anyway, so she goes out by the door where the stairs are, and she sees she sees part of the stairs, but it's dark upstairs, and she sees a kind of like darkness going upstairs, and out of the shadows comes a foot. It's a strange looking foot, and it's coming down the stairs towards her, and then you see another foot. And then you see this strange entity, this creature. And it is scary looking. It's got the. Let me just show you what it looks like from artists' renditions.
Oh my God.
Like, imagine that coming down the stairs at you. And this thing opens up its mouth and kind of turns its head sideways and sticks its tongue out, and the saliva's all coming out. And Bernice, she just starts screaming. And when she starts screaming, this creature just takes off. And so she goes off and she barricades herself in the living room with her cat. And her dad comes home and finds her there. And the dad, he's had enough. So turns out the mom works at the university and has gotten this artifact from the university.
2 articles.
Yes, 2 artifacts from the university. And this somehow is causing the weird entities to come into the house. And so he gives her an ultimatum, and he says either the artifacts go, or me and the kids are out of here. And so speaking of artifacts, that's going to come along later in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of artifacts, this is what they are.
Oh, you got a picture. Oh, here they go.
Almost looks like puppet heads, right?
They do, yeah. Stone heads from Hexam.
So where do these artifacts come from? So these kids, they're playing in the garden in the town of Hexam in the United Kingdom.
This is a different family.
Hmm?
This is a different family.
This is a different family.
This is before.
Yes, this is the Robinson.
Origin story. This is the origin
Robinsons.
story. The origin story for the heads.
Yes. So
This
the
is your
Robsons.
Hexam head origin story.
Yes. So the Robsons kids are playing in the garden, and they're just making a mess. They're picking up dirt and throwing it at each other. And the mother's happy that they're just not bugging her. This is happening, and I think this is 1971,
Mm-hmm.
May of 1971.
I was 40 years old.
What?
I was 40 years old at the time. Not many people know this about me, but I'm 90. Yeah, I'm 92.
That's why you're gray.
Yeah. It
So,
happens.
so anyways, the kids are playing in the dirt, and the mom's kind of annoyed. They're making a big mess, and the mother notices that all of a sudden there's a silence, and the kids bring these heads that they made of stone to show their mother, and this is what they did. As you can see, that's what the real heads look like, and like as we showed you a little bit earlier. So you can see one's male, one's female,
I guess so.
and then we got the kids.
Oh my god. Those kids are terrifying.
Well, the one on the right is right.
They both look scary to me. I'm like, oh my god. Ooh, yikes.
So-
Okay.
They take the stone heads in the house, and they find that the heads begin to move themselves. They'll move themselves maybe on the floor, maybe turned around the other way, and then they find them in different rooms that they weren't in before. And then they have different things happening where glass shatters, and
Are you gonna? Can you just
Obviously,
show us an example? Show us an example. Just smash your glass for us.
no, I'm not going to do
Oh, come on! It's a podcast.
that. Okay, next time. Anyways, so they clean up all the glass, but one thing happens after it's all cleaned up. Somehow, shards of the glass end up in the girls' bedrooms' pillows. Now that's freaky. That's freaky, right?
That's freaky.
So the boy, one of the boys who was found the heads, he says he wakes up in the middle of the night screaming because someone or something invisible was pulling his hair.
Thought you were gonna say grabbing his ass.
I should have, but grabbed his hair. So the mother comes in and she's consoling him, and the brother's freaking out too. The other brother, and so the mother's consoling him, and then out of the corner of her eye, her view is drawn to the doorway, and so she looks over, and just like at the beginning of the show, this creature is standing in the doorway, and it returns the gaze back to Mrs. Robinson, and once it realizes that Mrs. Robinson can see it, it disappears. And she wasn't going to say anything to anyone because she thought maybe her mind is confusing her until she goes over to her neighbor's house, and they begin to talk. And so Mrs. Robinson talks to Mrs. Dodd next door and says, "Listen, have you had any weird sort of paranormal, strange, or maybe strange things that you've seen?" And the mother, she just like has this like blank look on her face, and she goes, "Actually, yeah. Um, so one of my daughter has an inner ear infection, and so it was really painful. And so it took me a while to get her to sleep. So I, was kind of nursing her to sleep, and she was just kind of falling asleep, and all of a sudden she shot up, screaming, and she began to point, and I didn't know what she was talking about. So I looked around, and Mrs. Dodd saw this creature snarling at her, trying to grab her. And so the daughter's screaming, she's screaming. The creature gets down on all fours and just kind of runs out of the room. And Mr. Dodd comes running in. And as he's running in, he hears something running down the stairs. He can't see anything, but he hears something running down the stairs. And then he hears the back door open. So he runs down the stairs. The back door is wide open all by itself. And I guess it's going back to the Robinsons' house. So the Robinsons decide that they are going to donate it to the local abbey. And this is where I make
we're gonna make a tag. We'll make a tag.
Yeah. We did it.
Smooth as butter. Okay. So so they consider, well, also the Dodds, even after that encounter, considered moving away. They were so struck by their encounter. But their neighbors, the Robsons, they decided that they will get rid of the heads that they have because the two boys found them. Why would you be keeping these things? But they donate them to the local abbey. Eventually, the abbey, we don't have any reports if anything happened in the abbey. Who knows? They might have had experiences too, because they give the heads to the Southampton University eventually, right? Why would, maybe they had problems with them as well. Eventually, a lecturer named Anne Ross, she studies history, anthropology, those kind of things, archaeology, and she starts studying these heads, and she decides that they are likely of Celtic origin. Now, this area, we've got, I was like, George thinks, but actually, that's not George. There you go. Okay, could be the Minotaur. We could talk about that in the theory section of the
That's what we think, George.
That's where we're probably going with this, George. Here, there's a connection. So this area too. This is England. This is northern England. The town of Hexam is actually on Hadrian's Wall. If you know, Hadrian's Wall was an ancient Roman wall. It was the wall the Romans built to protect their, the Roman colony that later becomes known as England, from northern invaders. So they're pretty north. And there would have been Celtic people there before the Romans. So she thinks that it's that old, that it's pre-Roman. And the Romans invade British Islands in 200 AD or something, I think. Something like that. So that's pretty old. That could be even, be older than that. For some reason, she's compelled to take the heads home. She's studying them. She could just study them at the university. So that's kind of strange that she takes them home. I think that's weird.
Yeah, that is strange. Like, what about those things makes you want to take them home?
Because I feel like if you're studying artifacts at the university, wouldn't you keep them at the university? It's almost like the heads want her to take them home.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly, because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can play better.
So she puts them in a box in her house and kind of forgets about them there, conveniently. A week later, she wakes up to feel a presence in her room. She like wakes up and it feels like there's something in the room. She gets up, she looks, she catches a glimpse of a wolf-like creature covered in fur. Um, she just catches a glimpse of it, but the creature escapes.
Is
Outside
this the creature?
probably that creature, wolf-like. People say like they're a mix of a wolf and a goat. It was also described. Um, Also, it's always dark when people see this. Like
You
that,
know,
there
a
it's dark.
wolf
It's always
and a
coming out of
goat
darkness.
look a lot like a minotaur.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That's true. Um, Now, after she sees it, about a week later, her daughter is taking food up to her dad in the house, and her daughter sees the creature in the hallway, screams. The creature runs downstairs, and that girl is actually the girl that you started your story with, because
Yeah.
a couple weeks later, she's the one who gets trapped in the living room because she sees it and she's with her cat. And then the dad says, that's it. You got to get rid of these things. Either we're moving out or you get rid of the artifacts. So Anna Ross eventually gets rid of the artifacts. So now from there, the story goes that the heads were put away in the university for 7 years. Nobody touched them. So no further incidents. But then a Frank Hyde, he gains an interest in the heads. There must have been stories of all the stuff must have come out, and there was probably some media attention. He starts studying the heads. What's interesting, though, is that he dies in 1984. Not that far after he started doing tests on them, mysteriously dies, and the heads disappear. So nobody actually knows the current location of the Hexam heads. But what we know from his tests, so Frank Hyde does some tests. The carvings are really rough, as you can see from the picture. There was no organic matter like on the heads that was from when they were originally created, so they couldn't do any carbon dating. It was impossible to date them for sure. They're made of a solid rock, though, and the rock type is gray sandstone.
With a little bit of quartz.
With a little bit of quartz. Which is like pretty easy to get in Minecraft. 1974, where am I going here? Okay, so there's a lot of stories that go out about these things. Everything we've just said did show up in the media at some point. Later, I don't know when he claims this though, but there's a Des Craigie who's a local resident of Northampton. Or sorry, is this Northampton now? Southampton University. Sorry, Southampton University. Des Craigie, he claims
University sucks.
Yeah, Des Craigie, he claims that he carved the stones for his daughters back in 1974.
And he lived at the house.
Yeah, and he even and he lives in the house in the garden where they're found. Right. He even provided what he thought was proof because he showed people heads that were carved in a similar fashion. He's like, look, I carved these heads, so I clearly carved those heads as well. But the heads that he showed as examples were actually not made out of gray sandstone. They were actually just made out of like composite materials, like brick or concrete. So people don't believe him and they just dismiss him. They just like, he's probably just looking for media attention. He's just trying to get attached to the story. But nobody believes that he could actually carve them. Some people do think that they're even older than Celtic, so it could have even been a more ancient civilization. See, George is wondering if the creature follows or goes wherever their heads end up.
That's what it seems like, George. We don't know where they are now. Like, you think they would have searched the guy's house looking for him, and no one turned up?
But also, when the heads were in people's houses, they could move on their own. That happened that happened to the Robsons, and it also happened. Well, I guess we don't know.
Just the Robsons.
But that means that maybe the creature that the heads summon can actually move the heads himself.
Well, if you think about it, the dogs live next door, and they weren't immune to the creature. You know that.
Yeah, it's got a wide radius of how far it can go away from the heads.
So, which brings me to this question: what's up with the heads that the creatures are? Like, is this something that summons the creature?
From somewhere else.
Is it potentially a portal opener?
So Celtic people actually believed that the head was the seat of the soul, and that if you carved a head, you could actually create like a portal to the netherworld.
So potentially, they could have done a spell, believing that these stones were, but they could have done a spell that created an entry for this creature into this world.
Now, what I find interesting is that the creature keeps running away whenever somebody sees it, almost like it wants to, be seen, maybe like it's making noise and then it's showing itself, but then it just runs away, almost like its sole purpose is to just be seen by human beings or something.
Well, if you want to talk about demonic stuff, if it's a demon, then it only has so much authority to hurt people, right? Maybe pull their hair or something like that, but
it can't go too far.
Yeah, it can't do any damage without permission, right? So.
Okay, now this could be completely unrelated, but Hexam, the town, in 1904 was actually plagued by mysterious creatures slaughtering cattle. So there was cattle slaughter going on. People who were investigating it thought it must be some kind of wolf. It was killing all these cattle viciously. Farmers were getting worried, but then it mysteriously just stops at some point. So I think a lot of people, that was, it's just a pack of wolves.
And you know what's interesting about this? If we go back to our ranch stories, the animals could be hurt, but people not, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
could this be something similar to the ranches?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other ranch was Skinwalker, and there's Star. I forget.
Star something. Yeah, they were both similar. Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like a lot of like what people see, like creatures are often like hairy, often like, this thing looks similar to like the Jersey Devil in a way. Like that's interesting that like people see like a similar kind of creature, which does make you wonder if there is another like dimension that these things come from, and that's why they look similar, because they're like similar species,
I'm gonna totally I think it's a demon, and someone did some spells on that thing to give it some sort of authority here. That's where I'm going with this. I don't buy anything else. And
okay,
if you have a town that's still into that kind of witchcraft, it's going to have continual authority to be there.
Well, that I was just going to say, why is this town called Hexam? It sounds
the
like
name of his own, right?
It's like, what? Why are you called Hexam? That's a really like
you could have inviting some shit to come to your town.
It's like calling your town like Dark Magic Town. I live in Dark Magic Town.
We're going to change the name of Hexam. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
New Dove City.
Oh, I like it. That's good.
New Dove City. Doesn't that sound wholesome and like?
That sounds beautiful. That sounds like you want to go to an Airbnb.
Yeah. Welcome to New Dove City. Cool.
That's their Their like slogan is just so it says on the license plates. Just
And then as
is
a
that even what
joke,
dove? Is that
they'll
just a
say,
pigeon?
and then
Is
they
that what
say,
doves even do? Do doves
They're
coo?
they're like pigeons, but
Okay.
they're white, pretty much.
Are you serious? Is that true? Is this for real? They're like the same species as pigeons?
I don't know. They're
Okay, I
very
didn't know that.
similar looking.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen a dove.
So someone told me the difference between a dove and a pigeon is pigeons poo and doves
coo?
coo.
Okay.
But pigeons make that sound too, right?
Pigeons definitely coo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what a group of doves is called?
New Dove City.
Well, you know that a group of crows is called a murder. Everybody's aware of that, right?
Let's see what a group of doves is called.
Do you want me to do some internet
I
research
want
right
you to
now?
do
I'll
some
do it.
research on this.
I'll do some internet research. How do I exit full screen? Okay, exiting full screen. Here we go. Oh, okay. Group of doves. Live research. What is the collective noun?
Breaking.
Oh, no. There's actually a number of collective nouns for a group of doves. They include a coat of doves, a bevy, a bevy,
and like a bevy, like drinking a
bevy, or a piciousness of doves.
I like the coat of doves. It makes you feel protected. I have a coat of
I
doves.
like. Did you know what a group of ravens is called? You know, it's really cool. A conspiracy of ravens.
I like it. I like it.
Oh, look at that conspiracy.
The conspiracy of ravens.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
If we ever do a spin-off show about conspiracies, welcome to Conspiracy of Ravens. We got a great show for you today.
Is it just a show about different nouns for like the group names?
Oh,
for
it's a
different
show about
birds?
conspiracies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, everybody like is a flock specifically for geese, like a flock of geese, or is flock used for any bird?
I think flock can be. You need a flock of sheep, right?
I love. Oh, right. A geese is a gaggle of geese.
Gaggle.
Collective nouns are really fun. Is there a collective noun for humans?
How did they come up with that?
And why do they even need them? Like, are they're just there for funny things to say in conversations? Like, hey, do you know what a group of geese is called? Because who cares? Like, why do they need that? Are there scientists who are like, wait, are you talking about a conspiracy or a gaggle?
So, what do we think about this creature? Like, do you agree with me that it's a demonic sort of spell that's kind of?
I definitely think it's dark magic from an ancient civilization put into these rocks that summons this thing. Doesn't seem to be able to hurt people other than like pulling their hair, like you said. Maybe it can grab people's ass.
I'm seeing this thing. Jeez.
That would be scary though. Oh, did we mention this? I don't remember which family it is. I think it's the Dodds. The Dodds had kids too, right?
Yeah, Dodds.
But the children claimed that they were being slapped by invisible hands. Could you imagine being slapped by an invisible hand?
You did this. No, I didn't.
That would be terrifying. Ow, where did that come from?
This is like the ass grabbing all over again, but with faces.
I know. No, that was a good story. George, that's very relevant.
It fit in, right? Like the altered beast fit in with it too.
Maybe those stones. Maybe the stones are at that theme park you went to.
Could be. Maybe that's where they're hidden.
Okay, if anybody sees this creature, though, they should report this because maybe you're near the stones. What are we going to do if we find these things?
Yeah, I totally dropped the ball. Look at this. Whole time.
All right, we're going to have to re-record the episode.
Start over.
We got to start over.
Hold on, I got to go fill up my water.
Get the inline one. Get out the hammer.
So, as we wrap up here, I think we're gonna just kind of get this. We zoom up. That means we're winding down the show. The show is almost coming to an end, and you know what? Just as much as I like being with you guys, I just like being with you. Do you like being with them?
I love it. This is the highlight of my week.
What about that guy who's watching right now with the shaved head, and he's like missed a few? You know, they're still sticking there. Like, do you like that guy?
Are you talking about the enlightened one?
No. There's a random guy watching right now on YouTube, and he's got a shaved head, but he missed a few spots.
I don't know.
You still like that guy?
Yeah, I like that guy too.
You like that guy?
I like that guy. Yeah, I like all our viewers. If you're watching, I like you. Yeah.
What about that guy who's eating a blizzard right now, and it's kind of smudged on his face?
I'm jealous, but I like you.
I guess I like him too.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap things up. We gotta do the wrap up things.
Okay, so the moral of the story for me, I'm going first for a change. The moral of the story for me is this: if your kids are playing in the garden and they come back with some weird heads, do not. And I mean, do not put them in your house. Throw them. I don't care what, you just throw them. Maybe bury them again.
They seemed to be pretty safe when they were buried.
Yeah, everything was fine.
Everything was fine. Yeah.
But you know what's weird? How did they get in the garden?
Well, just ancient, just like they were buried there.
Were the kids
centuries
that much?
Centuries.
Well, the garden was used before, right, as a garden. So
I don't know. Maybe, but things can end up being buried like further down in the earth, and then over time, like if you build a new house and you excavate a bit, you might.
Well, yes. Let's say even someone gardening digs something, but they don't look at the rocks to see what they look like.
Yeah,
because they're like pulling up the earth, right?
Yeah.
So that's true.
Well, my moral is very similar. If you're studying something at university, like strange ancient artifacts, carvings of heads, don't take them home. Don't take them home. Yeah.
You know, I would say don't bring any weird things in your house altogether.
Wow. That's why you never invite me over.
Yeah, like.
Well, why do you have that weird picture of? Is that Rowdy Piper behind you?
No, that's Owen Hart.
Oh, that's Owen Hart. Okay.
Yeah, JFB gave that to me for Christmas. So
the art style is very strange.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we got to get that music playing.
All right, where can people buy t-shirts?
Okay, so check this out. We got. Have you heard of the Demon House in Indiana?
No. Wow.
Okay. The Demon House in Indiana. We did an episode on it before we joined the show, and there's a documentary on it, so you can just like do some research. So we got a guy who was willing to come on the show next week, who grew up a block away from the Demon House in Indiana.
Oh my God.
And he has some stories to tell.
Wow.
Other breaking news, if you're watching this, our friend Austin, the original co-host of the show, he's had so much strange shit happen to him that they have signed him and his mother to a book deal.
Whoa!
Yeah, and they want to make a movie about all the weird things that have happened to him and his mother.
That's awesome.
And so I said, well, shouldn't there be some sort of Wrestling with the Paranormal podcast in this movie? Since you're the original host, and he's like, damn straight there should be. So
we got the original scoop on it.
Yeah. So Austin might appear on the episode next week as well.
Wow.
So we could have a big Demon in Indiana house sort of episode next week. George has a moral. Want to read George's moral?
Mm-hmm. Moral of the story is don't get rocks shaped like heads of the ones we saw earlier. Give them to your neighbor you don't like or sell them. Good advice, George.
eBay.
Excellent. That's why we call you the Disciple.
And so visit FNWrestling.com. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees /FNWrestling. Also go to ProWrestlingTees.com and go to Adrian Adonis's store, who's taking off, and his name is being restored, and his legacy is coming back. I'm so excited. I just have to say, it's such an honor for me to be the voice of Adrian Adonis on Twitter and to run his Pro Wrestling Tees store. Do you got something to say to end the show?
I always have something to say. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and gals, gals and dolls, keep on wrestling with the paranormal.
So remember to help control
pet population. Your pet population. Spay and neuter your pets. Yeah.
And remember, after you're done watching the podcast, rewind it so other people can watch it.